are back. Welcome back to Legal Help Live. This is where you call in and ask a legal question, get a legal answer. I am Ralph. That is Steve, and you're calling us at 310-458-4950. That's how you call in and ask a legal question. And for everybody who calls in and asks a legal question and gets a legal answer, there is a gift certificate for dinner or lunch for two at a restaurant of Steve's and my choosing.
You know, if I want to talk about dogs.
You can talk about dogs.
So, why is it legal for the cops to at the airport to have drug sniffing dogs sniffing through my suitcase, and if they find some marijuana or any kind of drug paraphernalia in there, they can arrest me, and but it's not legal for them to take the same little pooch to the front door of my house, sniff, sniff, sniff on the door, find his nose, which is a million times better than your nose, not as big probably, but a million times better.
Different color.
And he smells marijuana. They get a search warrant. They bust the house down.
Yeah.
The Supreme Court of
just now
California said that's no good, but you can do it at the airport. And if they stop you in a car, they can run the dog around the car, and he sniffs, 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 and they can go into the car.
I think that's a good question. The analysis conducted by the courts is, what is your reasonable expectation of privacy? At the airport, all the rules are out, all the normal rules are out the window. When you walk into that airport or on the grounds of the airport, even outside the airport, you are giving up a whole boatload of rights.
So when I get naked,
for the privilege of being there.
When I get naked on one of those American airline flatbed planes, seat things, where I go to sleep.
You're in the airplane?
I'm in the airplane.
You've already been strip searched, so what difference does it make?
I'm in the airplane. I snuck the stuff on. I'm naked. I'm in my little cabin there.
Yes.
Can they bring a dog in there and sniff and come in and get me?
You don't know this, but there's already a dog on that airplane. Yeah, you've already been searched, so I don't know how you're going to get. I shouldn't say that. There are a lot of things that get through security that shouldn't get through security, and so it's possible that you got on the airplane, you've got your marijuana, but you know what? Why would you do that? You can't smoke on the airplane.
So we got one rule for cars, we got one rule for airports, and we got one rule for private homes.
You know,
same dog doing the same job,
and same person. And same marijuana as you're carrying it around the streets of California and into the airport. There are different rules because there are different levels of expectation of privacy, and that's what this turns on. How about this? Different state, lawyer who does drunk driving cases. He's a DUI defense lawyer, gets pulled over, gets arrested, gets booked, has a mugshot for driving under the influence of alcohol. That's not the bad part. The bad part is he advertises with a picture of his own face in this newspaper, and in this same newspaper, next to his advertisement, is a picture of him as his mugshot. So he's paying this newspaper all this money for the publicity, and he got a slightly different kind of publicity.
It probably puts him in a good light with his clients anyway.
Yeah.
He's one of us.
Sympathy.
He's one of us.
Sympathy.
I don't see anything wrong with that.
Well, I don't know that there's anything wrong with it, but it did turn out to be a little bit embarrassing.
So, I'm always into these food kind of cases and stuff.
Yes.
I'm reading stuff that sugary drinks are not good for you.
Yes.
And salt is not good for you. I can remember when fish was good for you. I can remember.
Well, that's before it had all this mercury.
I can remember that when there was a Friday where you can only eat fish. What about these monster drinks with all the caffeine in it? They're changing now. They're no longer called.
They went from one aisle to another aisle. What are they?
They're drinks now. They're not.
Instead of in the pharmaceuticals, I guess they're a food, or vice versa.
Well, they went from being a food supplement to being a food.
Okay.
And there's less regulation, I guess, in the food than there is in the
pretty bright.
Food supplement. Pretty bright people. But there are allegedly 14 deaths caused by these monster drinks. And I guess if you have heart problems, or if you don't know you have heart problems, it could bring on an arrhythmia they say, and there's evidence both ways on it.
Yeah.
Is there somebody on the lines now that we should get on?
I'm hearing that rumor. Yeah.
Is
Who's out there? What do you think? Got a call?
Let's
Jonathan,
see.
yes? No? Jonathan's our stage manager. We got a call, Jonathan?
All right.
He says yes.
All right. So I don't know the caller's name. I apologize, but you're on the air.
Say something, then we'll know who you are. Give us a clue. Tell us your name. Come on in. Talk to us. Or not.
Well, there's somebody out there listening. I just don't
Okay.
know.
This is what I've got in my hand is why people shouldn't get divorced. A husband and wife are driving in the car. He is a lawmaker. He has had a number of moving violations. If he gets another moving violation, he's probably going to lose his license. If he loses his license, it's going to be hard for him to get to his job in the government. So he tells his wife, "You tell the police officer that you were driving." She says, "Okay." She gets the ticket. She pays the fine. Not a problem. A little while later, they go through a divorce process. She doesn't like him anymore. So she calls up the police agency and she says, "He made me take the ticket. He was driving." So guess what happens next? He gets arrested for obstruction of justice, and she gets arrested for obstruction of justice. He's convicted. She goes to trial. She's convicted. This is why divorce is not a good thing.
And they reconcile.
No, I don't think so. They're in different prisons.
I think the caller's back on the air.
Okay, let's try.
Okay, let's try again now. I've got people sticking fingers out at me.
I'm not sure there's
You know,
much...
we're on a maiden voyage. It's a new set. We've got a great crew here, some full-time professionals, some from Santa Monica City College who are learning the trade and craft, and we're happy to have them here. So, and we've got all kinds of new things that we're going to work through. But the set that Robin G put together was
It
fantastic.
is beautiful.
It is beautiful.
Technologically
And we've got all the
supreme.
latest cameras and bells and whistles. It's pretty exciting. But
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Who are you?
This is Gail.
Hi, Gail.
Hi.
Talk to us.
I moved into my apartment in Santa Monica 30 years ago, and I filled out a rental agreement, and then I moved to a different apartment, and I didn't fill out a new agreement. So my question is, can I do what I want with the apartment? Can I sublet my apartment?
So you're month to month now.
Yes. But there's no rental agreement for the unit that I'm in.
So what happened to the old apartment? It's being used by somebody else?
Yes.
And that was a legal apartment?
Yes.
And rent control was in at the time when you did that?
It came into effect after I moved into the building.
But it would still affect the apartment.
The original apartment, yeah.
Yes, exactly.
But she's not in that apartment anymore.
No, she's not in that apartment. Now you're month to month and you want to sublet, but you don't have a lease.
Correct.
You've
Well, I
got
don't have a
nothing to
rental agreement. There's nothing in writing saying that I can or can't do it.
Right.
Doesn't, and you asked, I don't know this answer, but doesn't rent control have a list of every unit that's on the rent rolls in Santa Monica that qualifies? And yours would be on it, therefore you probably have some rent control protection. I think the easiest answer is to call Santa Monica Rent Control and ask them.
Okay.
You don't, and by the way, excuse me, you don't have to cop out who you are. Just ask them the question, and they'll give you an answer.
Okay.
That's interesting.
And once you stay on, you got dinner or lunch for two at a restaurant of our choosing.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Gail. Thanks for calling Legal Help Live. You know, outside the framework of rent control, if Gail doesn't, that's not true, but if Gail doesn't have a lease, what does she have to sublet? Whoever moves into that apartment is going to be on a month to month, and I just don't see that she has any long-term rights that
Well,
she
I think
can
the
give
rent
up.
control thing changes the whole deal.
Oh, I understand that. That's why I said out of the context of rent control.
And she's calling from a rent control city, so.
That's true. So the question, you know, I think our task up here is to direct people to the right place, and I think what you said is the right place.
So if, it's almost time to pay income tax again.
Aye. I forgot.
But if you live in Puerto Rico,
Yes.
excuse me,
What happens if
there's
you live
no
in Puerto
federal
Rico?
tax,
No federal tax in Puerto Rico?
no income tax.
Well, there's no state tax because it's not a state. What?
There is no-
Where do you go to pay your tax?
No federal tax. So if you live in Puerto Rico and make that your domicile,
Yes.
183 days a year, that's the law in Puerto Rico,
Uh-huh.
then you don't pay any federal income tax.
Well, that's worth a commute. How long would it take to get from Puerto Rico to Santa Monica?
It'd be, on the beach, sitting on there doing the water skiing and all that
Not
stuff.
bad.
No, you wouldn't be making any money either, Saltzman.
Well, that's okay.
But you take cases that are worth $5 anyway, so
I got that.
No, wait. If you take a case that's worth
face grabbing case.
you take a case that's worth $5, you charge 40%, that's $2, right?
Yeah, that's
And
right.
I get a
$2.
third of your interest.
Okay, so
I
that's
just made-
60. Well, I'll give you
This
67
is a great
cents.
day in
I'll give
America
you 67
where I can
cents.
make
I'll round up for you.
where I can make 66 cents sitting next to you.
Isn't that grand?
Wow.
Isn't that a lovely
You've
country?
done a lot for my life.
Isn't that great? Okay, so a waitress has her wallet stolen.
Is this a joke?
No, she reports it. It turns out to be, but not at first. She reports it to the police department, and nothing happens. They don't find anybody. They got no suspects. They never find her wallet. Her ID was in the wallet. And one day, someone who looks a little bit young comes into the restaurant and orders something to drink, alcohol in nature. And the waitress asks for this person's ID. Guess whose ID she gets handed? She gets handed her own ID. She fills the appetizer plate for free to give to the person who just, instead of panicking, punching the person out, or running around crazy, she gives the person a lot of appetizers. She goes in the back, she calls the police come. Woman never finishes the appetizers, and it's time for a break already. Is that right?
Well, I think it's time. I'm checking my magic thing here, and I think it's time to end the show.
It's time to end the show. We've got to go.
We got about 30 seconds
Oh, that's
left.
great. Well, I got to say thank you, Steve. That was a wonderful experience in our new studio, and I want to thank Robin for building the studio and all the people that she had helping her. Of course, our director, Wolf, our floor manager, Jonathan, Marcus, Blake, and the entire crew from Santa Monica City. You guys are fantastic.
The great
Thank
camera,
you very
great
much.
camera people that are looking at us. I feel like I'm being stared at.
Yes, and we'll see you next time right here on Legal Help Live. Ralph here, Steve there, saying hope to see you soon. You
And
all
if-
take care.